Going on, everybody? Hey, this is Think Like a Marketer Show. I'm Randall Chesnutt, your host, and we have a special guest today, Mr. Ron BloomingKemper. And that is a mouthful, I tell you. And then we have a guest, a studio audience, who we forgot to tell them to turn their phones off. So, hey, Ron, I am excited that you came in to talk with us today. And is your phone off?
Yeah, he's got it over there.
Okay, then. So we got the so we have a lot of topics to get into, and we got 45 minutes to shove all of this great dossier that you have. And man, I just want to say thank you for coming in.
Hey, thanks for having me. It's an honor to be on your first show.
So we talked a little bit about, and there's just so many stories that I want to share, and 45 minutes can't possibly sum up your amazing life. So I want to give you 60 seconds.
Okay.
Just kind of tell us how you got started. And the story we talked about your fifth grade, that was a pretty good one. So
basically I'm a professional graphic designer that kind of turned into a brand strategy guy. And so in the fifth grade, it's like you know what you want to do in life early on, I believe. And so it's like I wanted to be a cartoonist and work for Disney. And so
no, you did not have those Mickey Mouse ears in fifth grade, did you?
I did. But that was when bullying was popular.
It was.
It was required to be bullied in the 80s. So anyway, I had this passion for design. And then I basically in high school, I wanted to own my own ski resort. So I did my own logo. And so I was doing my own branding before I really even knew what branding was. And then that kind of, when I graduated, I applied to the Art Institute of Houston. And then I got talked out of it. I really didn't know my own brand. I kind of wanted to follow in my father's footsteps and be an insurance salesman. And so I had this like 9-year journey, this little trek of I still was doing design, but I wasn't being true to myself or my own personal brand. And it came to where I was basically at a life insurance company and had what I call my first panic attack. I'm like, what the hell am I doing? I'm not supposed to be here. I got to get out of here and basically follow my own dream. And so that's what I did. I applied to the Art Institute of Houston, started a freelance company while I was in school, graduated Best of Show, and I really never looked back.
Best of Show. Hey, wait, that was a great movie, by the way. Best of Show. Did you see this movie?
I loved it.
Okay, hey, if you haven't seen that movie, ladies and gentlemen, it's hilarious.
At the dog show?
But it's a dog show, yeah. Okay, I can't remember the Jewish guy's name. He was on American Pie. Do you know this?
I know that face, but
anyway, the movie was awesome. If you haven't got a chance to see it, if you've seen it, comment below. Hey, I wanted to say thank you for a couple of people who are coming on. Hey, we got Tony, we got Blanca. Hey, thanks for coming on. Feel free to post a question. We have our production team behind us feverishly working to get our audience in check over here. We'd like to thank them for questions. So feel free to post those. So I wanted to point out one thing, because I think a lot of times that we get lost in our own world, and we think that, why does all this stuff only happen to me? And then later in our life, we realize that all of that shit we were going through in our life, everybody else was going through it at the same time. Exactly. And we are not alone. So part of today is about, hey, look, you're not alone. And some of the things that you're going to probably mention, people are going, I feel that way right now.
Exactly.
So we're going to share some tips. And at the end, you have something really cool. And I appreciate you doing that. Part of the Think Like a Marketer show is giving before you ever ask for anything. And that's thinking long term. And that's the whole premise of my show is think like a marketer. Marketers, a really good marketer is thinking long term and not short term. And that's why I chose, out of all the people that I could have chose, Tony Robbins, Simon Sinek, Barack Obama, I chose you.
Come on,
so
man.
No, because I honestly really felt like that how to avoid, yours title is a great, it's very memorable, how to avoid a one-night stand marketing. Was really what I believe, and what people that I hang out with believe, is give people value before you expect them to give you anything, and think long term. So we're going to move into the next thing. And you have a really unique dynamic in your parents that we talked about. that you have. If you want to share that, if you don't want to, you don't have to.
Are you sure this is a branding show or is this like psychology?
Well, it's both. Well, that is branding, right?
I was like, where's the damn couch in this place?
My idea is to get you to cry on the show.
Okay.
Yeah,
I guess I could just think of my parents and I would start crying.
No, well, then we don't need that. We don't need that. Just really that you have one side that you talk. It's like two different dynamics, but that's what made you special.
Yeah. Well,
not the special bus.
Yeah. Yeah, exactly. You don't,
but the Mickey Mouse ears.
Exactly. No, I love my parents. I always say I grew up on both sides of the track, which gives you a really healthy perspective of reality, where my mom and I and my sister, we lived in Montana. We weren't rich, kind of poor. My dad, just multimillionaire guy. And so it was a real fun perspective talking about Disneyland, going to be an animator. It's like with one group, you had to put your microwave on layaway for 6 months, and then the next group, it's like, what do you guys want to do today? Let's go to Disney World. And then he'd buy you a plane ticket and you'd fly off. And so it really gave you what I call a sober sense of reality. And that is, you're not too proud or arrogant or think, someone owes you something. But then again, you're not blaming everybody else for everything bad that happened with you. So no, I love the way I was raised, and having that perspective, I think was awesome.
Richard Branson, in one of his books, I can't remember, I've read all of his books. He actually talked about when you're younger, whatever your weakness is, his happened to be he was dyslexic.
Yeah,
and him being dyslexic was the reason that he built some of the most powerful brands in the world, because he had to work extra hard at something more than somebody who wasn't. And I think having a dynamic like that gave you a unique perspective in the brand strategy.
My unique strategy was insecurity.
I think we all have those.
No, I mean, that literally was my superpower. And because of that, I didn't know who I was. So I was making these decisions. I always say, businesses suffer for two main reasons. They have an identity crisis and they try to please everybody. That was me.
Yeah.
I was literally like, who the hell am I? I would follow the crowd wherever we go. Somebody suggested something. Okay, let's do it. It's like I had this identity just wasn't there. And I was always trying to please people, especially with my personality.
Right.
So
I feel like that right now. I don't know. It's like, well, what do I do with my hands? Like when you're talking, you know what to do with your hands. But when you're listening, it's like, do I put them in my pocket?
Yeah.
Do I put them behind
your
my head?
Pocket's fine.
Okay. So something that I didn't do, and this is my first foray. It's like, let's put them up here.
Yeah.
That's smart.
That's the psychology.
That's the psychology of it.
Exactly.
No. Was that you really have a really unique dossier, and that you've worked in the Fortune 500 brand strategy space, but you've also worked with a startup of solopreneurs. And that kind of sums up your early life too, that you have those two dynamics of somebody who doesn't have anything and somebody who has everything. And
it's more fun working with people who got money though.
Yeah, well, they pay
it's
better.
Like once I said, it's like money don't buy happiness, but you never seen a guy depressed on a jet ski.
Yeah, that is true. Although those things, after you've had one for like 3 weeks, you like throw it in, leave it in your garage forever. Yeah, they do pay better. That is for sure. But the thing is, it's the same
issues that I've learned that they're going through, the same fundamentals, because what we teach is really, the fundamentals of branding and things like that, as far as the same things that the small businesses were, struggling with, big businesses were, and that is identity crisis. Right. How do you attract the right people? How do you keep them for life? So really what it is, it's a relationship issue that, we always like to say, human nature stays the same. Technology will always change. People looking for the quick fixes and the tips and the tricks and the hacks, but they don't have the fundamentals set, especially in relationships. And so me being an insecure person that absolutely sucked at relationships, mine was how in the world I wanted to find those principles that worked across the board. So joking about psychologists, I started interviewing marriage counselors, and I said, what is it that makes a really good, healthy marriage? And so they would start sharing these principles, and then I'd go over to the business world and say, why are you struggling with relationships? And it was those same damn 5 fundamentals. So what I saw is what I like to say is we struggle with relationships whether we're in the boardroom or the bedroom. It doesn't matter. It's the same principles that we struggle with. So what I did is I took those and I was like, okay, the whole one night stand marketing thing came from that if you're these 5 fundamentals I found, right? If you're living the opposite of them, you're creating one night stands in relationships, and we'll get into them in a second, and in businesses.
Right.
So it's all about relationships. And as one guy says, if you believe business is built on relationships, then make your business building relationships. And that's where we struggle.
Right.
Is
I think this is a really good segue. So the book, How to Avoid a One Night Stand Marketing, you really gave a really interesting way for someone to remember these 5 fundamentals that you're going to talk about.
Yeah.
And I want you to share that, because a lot of people struggle. I think a lot of people struggle even in a networking setting. They met somebody 2 seconds ago, they walk off and they come back and they can't remember their name for Adam.
Yeah.
So if you can't remember someone's name at a networking, trying to remember the 5 fundamentals of this attitude,
exactly,
is difficult. So I want to that if we could leave out with that one thing that we could show people on how to remember these fundamentals, and then kind of give us a little quick context on behind each one of these fundamentals.
Well, one night stand marketing basically is we all know what one night stands are, right? It's like 2 people coming together to get maximum pleasure without really minimally investing in people or being emotionally connected. Right. And so how in the hell does that relate to marketing? So what I noticed, and this was early on when I was a sales guy, I wasn't a designer in the early 90s. And I noticed I do everything. I'd beg, borrow, I'd steal to get a client. And once I got them, it'd be like, okay, we're taught short-term in sales. Okay, let's go to the next one. High five for the new prospect, but no high fives for long-term. You've kept your client 2 years, right? You don't get bonuses for that.
There's an industry that's guilty of that.
Exactly. There's one night stands everywhere. I wasn't the only one that was creating for my clients. I was being treated like that. You invest in a company, you're a loyal client, and all of a sudden, they quote their policy to you. And I'm like, did you just quote your policy to me? Right? Or they say, unfortunately is not a relationship word. If you hear that from your spouse all the time, you probably need a new spouse or something.
Unfortunately.
So anyway.
Or you never want to hear, hey, we have to talk.
Yeah.
Oh, what? About
exactly.
what? About what?
Exactly. So I where were we? What was the question again?
We were moving into these 5 fundamentals. And
5 fundamentals. So anyway, so one night stand marketing is really this whole concept that I want the maximum pleasure with minimally investing and emotionally attaching myself to someone. So what does that mean? That means, did you know that it's like 86% of marketing executives don't know the value of their clients past 1 year? So what one night stand marketing is basically saying you're a relational being. Right. I don't treat you like that, right? I'm working against human nature that says I'm a relational person. Here are the principles that work to have healthy relationships. Right. It's saying you're a means to an end. Right. So if we go from that perspective, I always say creating these one night stands is that it's kind of like a mentor told me a long time ago that there's 2 things that we really fight against, and it's never people, right? We like to think it's ideas and attitudes. And so I named my company that because as a designer or a branding guy, you want to go in, okay, what are the attitudes that your people think about you, your team thinks about you, the perception people have about you, and let me present these ideas that are going to change or challenge those attitudes that then are going to go in and like make you more profitable, keep clients, for life.
I want to point out something, because we say clients, and different people in different industries refer to the people that pay them in different terms. They, like a restaurant, they don't call their people clients, but they call them patrons, or maybe. But it's the reason I want to bring that up is people listening is really what we're saying is the people who pay you or come and visit whether you're a patient of a doctor or a client or customer, there's that name client is
customers, clients, lovers, whatever you want to call them. I mean,
exactly.
That's the whole thing. So what the common or the core thing is that you want to learn how to build these healthy relationships, right? Because you're working with human nature. And so these 5 fundamentals, what I found from, interviewing the marriage counselors and then going and reading everything I could get my hands on, was I found that there are basic 5 common denominators, right? And we all know them. Everyone knows them. And so to your point, I didn't want to then create this 3-ring binder that's going to sit on your bookshelf and collect dust with all the other damn courses that everybody gets. And it's like, which I can see your book shelf with all those things on it.
Oh yeah, I
No, I'm
have a
just
lot
kidding.
of them.
So,
I never read all of
so what I did was I wanted to help you every day to get up and go, what are these 5 fundamentals? So what I did is I associated each fundamental with the fingers on your hand, right? Because you're not cutting your hand off.
Okay.
So what it is this is my way to really spot those attitudes and to overcome them. So it kind of defines it and shows you how do you apply that fundamental. So like I say, the first one, which I mentioned, businesses struggle because they have an identity crisis, right? And they try to please everyone. So it's like, so this is your index finger, right? It's what you use to point. It's what you use to focus on.
You did it. It's
things
your
like
fault.
that. Exactly. So I say, and I ask businesses all the time in our audit, what's the one word that you want to come to mind when people think of you? What's that perception, right? If you think of Volvo, they own the word safety. If you think of Porsche, speed. So you have to own that one word, right? So what is the one word that comes, you want people to come to mind? That's perception management, which is branding. What's the one challenge or the one problem that you overcome? What's the one perfect, profitable client for you? So once establishing that, which is what I help people do, is what is your brand? What is the perception you want people to have?
You know,
right?
That's so interesting because Herb Keller, he started at Southwest Airlines.
Yeah.
And his one is low fare, one word. If you put a hyphen in the middle of it, it makes it one word. It was low fare. And anytime that anyone, because I read his book, that would come to his office or talk about anything or revolved around the brand, it was, does it meet that low fare? Like if somebody said, hey, we want to put steak on the plane. And like, does that meet the low fare? No, it doesn't. Then why are you?
See, that's perfect, because then you've got this finger, which is your ring finger, right? So we all know this is where your wedding ring goes. So ancient Egyptians believed that there was an artery that ran from your heart to this finger. So it's the commitment finger, what we call the promise finger. I'm a certified advisor with Sally Hogshead and her How to Fascinate program, and we call that the anthem. So an anthem basically is a 2-word phrase. It's your commitment or promise statement that says, how are you different and what do you do best? So can you describe your business in 2 words, like you just said, that I can then really use as the common denominator to running my whole business, my brand compass, I guess you could say. So that's what we say. What is the promise, the long-term commitment you have with me in your business? So mine, for instance, is innovative ideas.
Right.
So anytime somebody works with me, it's like they gauge me on, did you provide an innovative branding idea that did what? Energized my relationship. So my whole brand is built on that. What I post, what I do is based on this commitment. So you have to know your commitment, which leads to then with commitment, this is the finger, I call this the trusted advisor finger. Well, let me use my right hand. You're supposed to do with your left, but I cut this finger off when I was a kid, and so it only bends that far. So it kind of messes up the whole demonstration. So this is your trusted advisor finger. And I always say, if you want to stand out above the competition, stop selling and start educating.
Yeah.
Right.
So
if you don't, watch this, you'll be exactly like everybody else.
Oh man, I love that.
If
That's a
you
great
don't
example.
do that. Yeah.
Now, for some of the people who are listening to this as our podcast, they don't have the ability to do the visual. So you kind of just curl your fingers.
You curl your fingers.
And then look at that. All your fingers line
All your
up.
fingers are actually exactly the same. Right. So,
but when they're open, they're not.
Yeah.
It's interesting. I've never.
So find that thing that sets you
I'm stealing that one
apart from the competition.
That one? Is that copywritten?
Yeah, it is copywritten.
Okay.
I'll get your my lawyer's later. Sitting right there.
I know. I see him. He's staring like he's making notes.
So the next one then is what I like to call the dialogue finger. Right. So that's your thumb. The thumb is the only finger that can touch each of the other ones. Right. And so if you notice, these are all different, just like your clients, just like your internal team. So the thing in marketing is we like to have one message and then we kind of monologue it out, right?
Yeah.
Because remember, the first fundamental is focus. Well, what is a one-night stand? Unfocused.
Yep.
So if this one is commitment or promise, relationship, it's not having that relationship. So you've got trusted advisor. So instead of educating, you're selling. That's a one-night stand attitude.
Yeah.
So once we get to this one, the dialogue, so it touches each one. So what I say is, if you want to have intimate relationships, right, you have to then know your customer intimately to know how to speak to them and their need, which I also say, I have some disc training teachers, and I'm like, that's the 4 disc things too with your team. Yeah. So how are you speaking and what are you doing for each one of your
Interesting.
team members and your thing? So anyway, it's all about relationships. Then it comes to actually my favorite finger is the pinky.
Is that the one that like we all the way home?
Yeah, no, that's your toe.
Oh, okay. Well, hey.
But the pinky.
What if I don't have any arms and I have to use my toes?
You're just destined for one night stands. Just give up. Just get a job.
Give up. Okay.
Yeah.
We're gonna jump to some questions here because you're getting at the
okay,
end.
I wanted
to let them know.
Yeah, your timer. I have no idea what the time is here.
Yeah, we're good. You're almost done.
Like,
You're an hour and
you told me 20 minutes
deep.
and then you said 45. So I just wing it. So anyway, the pinky, right? You think this is just like this dainty little accessory. But the thing is, and if for the podcast listeners, if you make a fist right now and you feel the strength in your hand, now lift up your pinky and make a fist. You just lost 50% of your strength, right? So I call this the gratitude finger. And what that is in relationships is the reason customers leave your business and the reason marriages fail, from what professionals saying, is because you don't value me anymore. You start taking advantage of me. You don't show any type of gratitude or appreciation, right? 70% of customers fail because of that. They felt not appreciated. Do you know what the stat is for unhappy people in the workforce?
All of them.
Almost 80%. So you've got 80% of people in the workforce are unhappy. 68, almost 70% of them didn't have any type of appreciation or shown any type of gratitude by their boss. So you've got this whole culture that's built on this attitude of one night stand marketing.
Wow.
How can I get the maximum return out of you without me minimally investing and having any type of emotional connection? I actually knew somebody who was a boss to this large corporation who said to his team, "We're just cogs in a wheel." Right? So how do you feel after that? We're just cogs in a wheel, and it's like, so you're replaceable.
Yeah.
Once you know your personal brand, there's no way in hell you're replaceable. Right? Because that's the differentiator, because that's what we're fighting against, right? Yep. Distraction, 9-second attention spans, competition, and commoditization. People thinking, well, this is just like every other show, or this is just like every other business. So
this is not like every other show.
Exactly. I'm sorry I said that.
My lawyer's sitting next to yours.
I told you not to do this live.
Make note of that.
Okay. So anyway,
we're even now. So
exactly. Who does live stuff, right?
Who does
edit? Edit.
No, you know? We'll edit it later.
So anyways,
so it's funny because maybe that's why the mobsters, they have the pinky rings.
Yeah, I don't know where you're going.
So you had a show. Yeah. Anyway, they put the pinky ring shows. Maybe that shows strength.
No. Here's the thing.
What's the deal with
here's the thing that I did. The Yakuza and in Japan, they used to, when you dishonored somebody, they cut your pinky off.
Whoa.
Now, what happened was when you used a sword.
Maybe could we implement that here? My lawyer.
Your
could
pinky.
We? No. Okay. That's an okay.
No.
Sorry.
That's okay. Your pinky then with a sword, once you lost it, you didn't have as much control on your sword. So you were dependent upon other people to take care of you. Wow. So I think it's the most important finger, because with human nature, the one thing that we crave to really find to keep customers for life is showing appreciation in creative ways that say, I know you. I'm intimately connected with you. I'm going to have honest dialogues, right? We're going to build trust that's based on those dialogues and the commitment. So it's that whole thing. When I say in marketing is if you're living the opposite of focus, you're unfocused. Instead of educating, you're selling. You don't have a relationship with me, right? Instead of gratitude, you're ungrateful for me. And then instead of dialogue, it's monologues. So most marketing is monologue. How much shit can I fit on the page and hope you pick something?
And now you see why I had you on the show, because those 5 fundamentals are a reason that I created this show.
Yeah.
And they're not things that people don't know. I mean, everybody know when they go to the altar and they're going to get married, and they says, your little story you were sharing is like when you go up there and they said, you say I do, and you say maybe,
yeah.
Like maybe what? But I wanted, because I was going to go down a rabbit hole, and I promised I'd answer a question. Okay. So Joe Warsack has a question here. He says, how do you find time to build long-term relationship? That is an excellent question.
This is a great question.
So can you sum that one up?
Yeah.
In like 5 words?
Yeah.
No, I'm kidding. Go ahead. Free reign.
Well, the thing I heard from a trainer, because I'm always like, how do I find time to get 30 minutes to work out? He said, Ron, you get 23 and a half hours are yours. That 30 minutes belongs to you working out. and putting it in perspective, because we're always trying to, where am I going to find 30 minutes? Well, you have 23 and a half hours to do whatever you want.
Yeah.
And it flipped my thing that goes, handwritten notes, right? Handwritten notes are huge. I got one the other day in cursive, and I haven't read cursive in so long. It took me a while to interpret it. But just sending a handwritten note, right, takes literally a few minutes, and it does exponentially benefit for your brand. So I always say you find time, and this is where really my whole one night stand marketing sales career went, was I was then saying, I don't have the time to talk to my clients. I don't have the time to do this. And what I was communicating to myself is, you're not valuable enough and important enough for me to find that time to do that. So there's two things. You may have the wrong clients that you don't like working with. So you're like, oh my God, I got to go home to this dude, or guy. Or that's where branding, you find those right people that energize you when you work with them, right? Because then you want to spend more time with them. I mean, who the hell wants to spend time with a spouse that they're like, I got to spend time with this woman?
Yeah. You don't want to have that. So we have another question from Troy here that says, if you are an employee, should you find your 5 factors with your employer?
Yeah.
Should you sit down and
Yeah. Well, what's funny is I designed this book, right? Sally Hogshead is just a brilliant branding guru. She created this test, which you're going to see on the web page. It's how do you know how to find your personal brand? Well, I had all the workbooks and stuff, and Sally's Tools is the first personality test that actually will measure your personal brand in 5 minutes.
Wow. I like that.
It's unbelievable. So to answer his question is, so once
we have something that we're going to give them that'll help them with that. How about we do that at the end?
Okay.
Because we're running low.
Is it the end?
No, it's not. Because I saved enough time because you had the story. We dialogue back and forth, like, should we say the F word and I don't have my F-bomb sign. And I said, well, if we don't have to say the F-bomb, it'd be good because, I'm trying to get advertisers and more. Jim Rohn said, if you never cuss, you won't ever offend anybody. But if you cuss, you'll always offend someone. But it does sound better and I do cuss, but it does sound better.
Are you setting me up to say the F word?
No. If you could minus the F word, and just everybody else out there, when he says the other word, just replace it with that. Is that okay? See, this is entertainment.
You just told the punchline of the joke.
No,
you tell the whole joke.
Oh my gosh.
Anyways,
he doesn't even. So come on, tell us tell it. So the question really is, if you could tell a story on what define branding.
Well, you asked me what when we were talking, what is branding? And branding is so there's this story that I don't know, you guys watch TED Talks.
Yes.
The creator or Pixar, forgot his name, Scott somebody or whatever. So anyway, he tells this story, and when I heard it, I was like, oh my God, that is branding, the definition of branding. And what it is it says there's the story he tells is there's this backpacker going through the Highlands in Scotland, right? So he's thirsty, so he finds this pub. He goes in for a drink, and in the bar, there's the bartender, and then there's an old man nursing a beer in the corner. And so he orders a pint, and he sits down, and he says, a few seconds go by, quiet. He says, then the old man basically turns to him and says, "You see this bar?" And forgive my accent.
Oh no, I love it.
It's supposed to be a Scottish accent, but it sounds like an Irish pirate from Jamaica.
I like
so it's like he's like, "You see this bar here?" He goes, "I built this bar with my bare hands." He said, "I found the finest wood in the county." He's like, "I gave it more love and care than my own kids." But do they call me McGregor the bar builder? He's like, "No." He points out the window. He goes, "You see that stone wall out there?" He goes, "I built that stone wall with my bare hands." He said, "I found the best rocks and I placed them, bit by bit in the rain and the cold. But do they call me McGregor the stone wall builder?" He's like, "No." He points out to the other window and he says, "You see that pier on the lake over there?" My accent's just gone. It's like, I built that pier with my bare hands. He said, I drove the pilings into the sea and the sand, right? And he goes, "Put plank by plank, but do they call me McGregor the pier builder?" "No." Should I say it? "But you screw one goat which you're supposed to use the F word, which it makes it more
you
dramatic.
can feel that in.
But the thing was it's right. Branding is perception management. It's not what you say it is. It's the perception other people have of you. So you better, damn well put the right perception out about you, because even though in your mind you think, why are they not calling me the bar builder or the stone builder or the pier builder? Why are they got this one thing here? Like I talk about, the Bill Cosby thing. Yep. We grew up with him. His brand was the father figure. Everybody wanted him to be your dad. Now you find his brand's dead.
Yeah.
So it'll take you 20 years to build a brand and 5 minutes of one night stand marketing thinking, selfish thinking. And that's really what this is all about, is the selfishness of you can kill your business really quick if you don't habitually apply these 5 fundamentals.
Right. I agree. And there's a friend of ours, Patrick Bet-David. He's a really big insurance guy, a YouTuber. He recently interviewed Kevin Hart. And he was talking to Kevin Hart about this he ended up talking about this very thing. And he said Kevin Hart in the beginning, he was like Little Kev was like his name, and he's like screaming all over the place. And he luckily for him, early on, he realized that wasn't him. That wasn't authentically him. He was being somebody that he wasn't really. And you see comics, he was saying, like, you see these comics that have to maintain something that's not them. And eventually it comes out, just like Bill Cosby, just like anyone else. And he said, I realized early on that I needed to just be Kevin. Yeah. Kevin Hart. And he changed his name to Kevin Hart. And then he said, the person that you see in movies and the person that you see on TV and you see on 130 million Instagram followers, by the way. Yeah. And he started in 2008. Wow. I mean, he started his career in 2008. I mean, can you believe the guy's a massive? That speaks true to understanding your brand and being authentic. So we're coming to the end of the show, and I wanted to give people some closing, something useful that closing out. If you could give one little tip, like one tip that you could share, somebody could get off of this, they could go back and they could put to use. What do you think? What would that be? It starts with the first thing is focus. Yeah. Right. That's the first thing we tell people. So and just to share a little bit about my own brand is this, you're going to see on the website, you can get a copy of the book. You can download it. We may do something where I can send you guys out a hard copy. Tell them to go here. You can go to get a copy of the book at onmyshow.com. Yeah. We specifically made a page. If you go to onmyshow.com, you can get a free copy of how to avoid one night stand marketing. I was at a corporate thing, and they introduced me as how to have one night stands in marketing. Oh wow, that's a little twist. I was like, it's amazing how one word changes. It was an HR company too. I was like, holy crap. I was like, my next book's gonna be how salespeople screw each other. So it's like whatever. But anyway, so this is it. When you download the book, it's gonna give you another page that says you can take your free personality test, right? And then this is the 15-page report book that you're going to get. But what you said is, I understand like intuitively my own brand, but I didn't have the right words to communicate it. Right. And so after I took this test, as you can see here, it's like, okay, my primary advantage is what we call fascination language, right? So passion. I love speaking the language of relationships. It's also innovation. I love speaking the language of creativity. So it assigns you that one word. I'm a catalyst. Right. So my brand is a catalyst. Define catalyst. It's an outside substance you bring in to create change, a quick change. So my whole brand now is I'm a catalyst. When you hire me, you bring me in for quick change, right? To challenge attitudes, to energize people, that whole thing, right? And so then my anthem is innovative branding ideas that energize relationships and enhance profits. So those two things in under 9 seconds, which is an average attention span, which is, the attention span of a goldfish right now is actually 9 seconds. So in that short thing, I communicate my brand, my value. Are we a right fit? When you're doing a job interview or whatever, do you need an innovative branding guy that blah, 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 blah? Do you need a catalyst? No. Okay, we're not a good fit. Right. Or yes, we need that person to come in and do that. Now, my last gig, they wanted the innovation guy and they got it. And then it was like, as the innovation stopped, then I became a production artist, and it was like, oh my God, I'm in quicksand now. So I'm not living my personal brand. Fortune 500. Multi-billion-dollar corporation. You're at the top of your game, man.
Yeah. Yeah.
So again, for them to get a copy of that, you can go to onmyshow.com.
Take the test. It's free. It only takes 5 minutes. It's 28 questions. And then I recommend it's $47 to get the 15-page assessment. And that tells you everything you need to know about your personal brand. And then, come look me up on Facebook.
So where can they find you?
I would say go to my website, ideasandattitudes.com. And I just have the landing page up right now. But click in that, and I'm offering a free 15-minute brand audit. So we're going to see, if you're a good fit to do my workshops, or you could use Sally's tools, to where if you're a do-it-yourselfer, you can really go at your own pace.
So again, to get the copy of the How to Avoid One Night Stand Marketing, you can go to onmyshow.com. If you want to get the free 15-minute, which I really appreciate you offering that, go to Ideas. Now, is it Ideas AND or is it the
and attitude?
Okay, and attitudes.com. Schedule the man. I appreciate you taking the time.
Hey, this is fun.
Come, yeah. See,
yeah,
like the perfectionist and I'm just the doer. And you were like, oh my gosh, we had like 15 pages of notes. And I'm like,
yeah, it's like, I want you to my first show. What are you doing tomorrow? I'm like,
I wasn't tomorrow. It was last week.
It's like, can you build 3 funnels and do this and do a video and do that? Yeah. I'm like, holy hell, dude.
Yeah. And look, it happened because around here we make things happen.
I like that you challenge me and push me.
I appreciate you coming in. Again, if you want to get the free copy of How to Avoid One Night Stand, go to onmyshow.com.
One Night Stand Marketing, not One Night Stand.
If you want to follow the show, go to Think Like a Marketer Show on Facebook, and like the show. Hey, and if you enjoy this, make sure that you share the show. If you would like to be a guest on the show, or at least submit, I can't say that I would accept everyone, but if you're interested in being on the show, you can go to Think Like a Marketer's Show. Just message me there. I got a little questionnaire that I'm going to send to you. We'll see if we can get you on the show. And again, hey, thank you for coming on. I'd like to also thank both our lawyers for being here and our studio audience for participating with us today.
Yeah. Thank you, guys. Appreciate it. See you guys.